Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I got some good news on the KFIR if you've been following that little project. So today we got a couple of flights on it. If you can't tell by my sunburned face and the dust from the lake bed on the nose wheel, we took her out and flew her off of a Rabbit dry lake bed. So here's just a quick clip that my friend Justin got of it flying. And after that we'll do a full debrief on exactly what happened because there were some issues. And my friend John Cohn took a full video of the whole flight, so hopefully I'll have a link to that soon. Anyways, check out this quick clip of it ripping around.
Don't mess with it. You feel bad for the motor being wide open the whole time. You can always fatten it up to cool it off. Man, does that thing disappear against the mountain. Fatten it up a tick to cool it off. Yeah, fatten it up. Nice healthy trail. Yeah.
Okay, so as you saw in that little video clip that my friend Justin took, it goes pretty good. And Rabbit dry lake bed is at 3,000 feet elevation, which is pretty high for a ducted fan, for a nitro ducted fan model. And it was also 85 or 90 degrees when that flight was done. And so the density altitude was probably really high at that time. We did fly it once earlier in the morning. I was kind of plagued with issues, and even the second flight still wasn't 100%, but I flew it anyways because the first flight I couldn't get the gear up, and I flew with the gear down the whole time because electric retracts suck. But that's what's in there, and changing it over to air would just be too difficult at this point, so I'm sticking with them. They're E-flite units. But anyways, we got to the field, got it all set up, got it fueled, fired right up, idled, started warming up a little bit. Then I realized I forgot my battery for my JP brakes, and so I put it up on the stand while it was running, and it was idling nice and super low. I actually put the idle all the way down trying to kill it, and it wouldn't even die. That's how good this thing idles. And then it finally quit because I had the carb all the way closed, and I put my battery in it, put it back on the ground, fired it right back up. It started right back up, and then about 3 seconds later, it went and it bogged out and just quit, which is really weird. And it wouldn't start, and it would start at like half power, and full power was fine, but it wouldn't idle. As soon as you get below half power, it would just quit. Which is frustrating because this thing ran perfect at my house. If you saw my last video, it sat in idle, low power settings perfectly fine. So anyways, I took the wing off, pulled the power system out. We backed out the idle screw thinking something got clogged in the carburetor. Backed all the way out and pressurized the system, trying to blow any particle that could have been in the carburetor out. So we did that. We can't really run it with the wing off, so I put it all back together. It's still pretty much doing the same thing. Wouldn't run below half power. So I fired it up at half power. My friend Justin carried it out to the end of the runway for me at half power. And we did the first flight. And I waited too long to put the gear up. And it was going pretty fast when I decided to put the gear up. And I think one of the doors wasn't open all the way, and one of the gear got stuck on it, and it was just a fiasco. So I ended up just lowering the gear because I couldn't slow it down because I couldn't power it back to put the gear up. So I just flew with the gear down for a few minutes and landed it. I played with the mixture control in flight, and it worked really well. So it landed pretty good, but it quit as soon as I landed. which I was expecting. So as the day went on, I was pretty frustrated. I didn't want to go home with kind of a crappy flight. So I said, you know what, let's fly it one more time, even though it won't idle, and I'll make the best of it and at least try and get the gear up. So I pulled the gear up as soon as I broke ground on the second flight and flew a full 6-minute flight. And I used up almost all the fuel. All that was left was the, I'm going to pop the hatch off here. All that was left was the fuel in the hopper tank. Let me put this down. So the hopper tank is just a little 4-ounce tank in here that the saddle tanks, it's got 2 tanks in it. Those feed into the hopper and the hopper feeds into the carburetor. And both tanks drain super even. It actually works really well. So anyways, I landed for 6 minutes and it was almost, probably only had about another 30 seconds of fuel. But anyways, as you saw in the video, a little clip, it rips pretty good. And like I said, for the density altitude that we were dealing with, I mean, not only are the fans performing, are they making less thrust, but the nitro motors don't do as well at the higher density altitudes. So the performance was surprisingly good. I'm certainly happy with it. It looks awesome in the air. Sounds cool. It's got the smoke trail. Yeah, it flew great. Landing went pretty well. But because the bottom end isn't really running good right now, I was having a hard time on landing because it's a Delta and lands nose high with the power on. So I was really, it was an interesting landing. You'll see when my friend John posts his video. It was a good landing, but I was having a hard time keeping the thing running while I was in high alpha coming into land. But anyways, it on the ground safe and pretty smooth. So, and it quit as soon as it touched down. But anyways, super stoked with the airplane. I love how it turned out. I'm really happy with it. Still missing nomenclature and a few little details, but that'll come later. The brakes work awesome. JP brakes, those things are sweet. The plane flew really well. It was nose heavy on the first flight, and so I changed to a small receiver pack in the nose for the second flight, and the CG was much better. Overall, the airplane flew great. I think the speed is probably around 120 flat and level and maybe 140 out of a dive. It's moving pretty good. And down at sea level, it should do a whole lot better. So looking forward to flying it with a properly running engine at a lower altitude in cooler air. So this is the old carburetor off the motor. We took it apart when we got home so we could see what it looked like inside. So our initial theory of that something got stuck in the carburetor is not very likely. We think what might have happened was the screw that holds the throttle cylinder in might have backed out and allowed this to slide out a little bit, because there's really no other explanation for why it won't idle. So changed the plug and all that. Didn't make any difference because it was a brand new plug anyways. But anyways, I'll make a short video once my friend John posts his video of the whole flight, and I'll put a link in the description for that. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little 1-minute video of it ripping around. And yeah, she's a keeper, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's so much fun to see and hear and smell an old school jet like this. It's what I grew up around. My dad was and is friends with Larry Wolf, and if you don't know who that is, he is basically one of the grandfathers of the ducted fan model. Him and a couple other guys were basically the main ones that got ducted fan and jet flying in general started back in the late 70s. They helped make it popular, and they helped push it along and innovate and make new products that made these go from lumbering airplanes that barely flew to good performing scale models. And that was a part of my childhood, and I've always wanted a nitro ducted fan ever since I was a kid. And yeah, really cool. It's really cool that, and I was really glad to be able to make this happen. Super stoked with it. So anyways, hopefully my friend John will have his video up pretty soon, and we'll get you guys a full flight video of it. But looking forward to getting some little bugs worked out of it and burning some more nitro of this thing, man. Looking forward to it. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.